did we start doing the census? Or do you know?
So, yeah, Census Day is April 1st of 2020. So you're able to respond through July 24th. I believe it's somewhere towards the end of July 24th, because once again, this is mandated by the Constitution, and we have to have it done into Congress and on the president's desk by the end of 2020. So that gives them enough time to analyze all the data and so forth, and get what needs to be done to get that information to Congress and on the president's desk in time.
And also, I want to give people a small background. 2 years ago in Texas, they decided to do some redistricting using, I guess, whatever census data they had, that they were using, and they knew certain areas and districts and places had grown. They decided to move some of the lines, some of our voting lines. They decided to move in Texas. And as we know, I think I'm not from Texas, so I can say it because I'm not from Texas, so it's easy for me to get away with it. But this is the most movable line place I've ever lived in my life. But they were trying to move the lines, and I'm going to use Bell County because I live here. But our legislators at that time, they were, like I said, they were trying to move the lines, but in Killeen, they were moving the lines closer. They wanted to move the line closer to Lampasas than they would have Belton, because at that time they were saying that we had more alignment with Lampasas, Texas, than we did in Belton. Well, we had to go and testify before Texas federal court, to say that we had more in line with Belton than Lampasas. And I had to go learn to read a map. Not read a map like a traveling map. I had to go read a redistricting map, which was quite different because it outlined areas and did lines. So for me, I had to go drive them because I'm a visual and a tangible learner. So I drove around to figure, to find out where the lines were and how they were trying to be moved. Also, I started asking people who would go with me to testify, because I am that activist fighter who will go up and testify and do what's right. But I couldn't find many people who know how to read a map, so I went and testified before the federal courts against the map moving. And I had to go and study Lampasas to find out what we don't have in common with them. There was a whole lot of things we do not have in common. But what I want to say is that came from a number count, which came from a count that would have been, that now would be next year the census count, which would have moved lines, and we would have been more in line with letting a certain group of people win an election rather than losing the election. So it became an election issue, such as this one will become also too. But I want to let you know the importance of it. In our area right here, there was a fight to move it. And we had to prove that it was wrong. And we had to prove that we don't have anything in common with Lampasas at all. But not only said that we just don't, we had to prove that we don't. And like I said, I asked people to testify with me, and I got those looks like you must be crazy. So I did it. I testified and gave some shocking things about Lampasas that no one knew. But we need to know that after this census is done, we're going to have to do this again. So not only do we need to learn what the census is, and thank you, Mark, for being on there letting us know, but we need to know what it does, and we need to know the depth to which it goes. So we don't need to fill out the census and then forget it. Don't do that. Fill out the census so that you know that you're protecting your area, you're protecting the future of your kids and of our young people. Taking the census is more than just filling out a piece of paper, is what I want to say. It's about everything that encompasses the way we live. It makes a difference on the money we make. It also makes a difference as how much money your state's going to get from the federal government for the people who live in it. So it's more than just a count. It goes further than that. Now, the only part I disagree with is they don't need to know whether I'm a citizen of the United States or not. That's me. And that's, I'll say the NAACP, like, we don't feel that you need to know that because that's prying into my business a little bit too far. And I would say there's no way the government could say, whether I am or not a citizen, you can do something about that. So that could be some extra things going on that would happen if they found out whether or not people were United States citizens. So we think that should be removed from it, or either not added even to it. But the most important thing is that people need to remember is that census time is coming. More and more, I will be on the show talking more about it. Hopefully Marq will be coming back, calling in so we can really enforce it and let people know, because, we're talking about it now. 3 months from now, people will have forgotten everything we said and we'll go back. So we're going to talk some more later on. Later on in the year, all the way up until, so that we can get the word out there and make sure that we understand it, that we get it. And the organizations that are also listening on the show, I want you to take it back to your organizations, back to your groups. And like I said, I'm going to host a workshop this month. And hopefully everybody comes to the workshop and gets more information, because each of us need to be, as I said, remember, there's no more phone books. They don't exist anymore. Well, they do exist, but in the world that we live in, they don't. They're all on your cell phone. But we need to be walking knowledgeable people about the census. We need to be a walking knowledge. We need to be able to say, the census is coming and this is what it's about and whatever now. And if you know me, there are certain things I'm going to harass you about. And now the census will be one. When we have an everyday conversations, yes, I'm going to bring up the census to you, such as other things that, I talk about. People know that I have topics. My number one topic is always human trafficking. I'm totally against it, so I think we need to get rid of it. Well, now I'm add on to it the census. We need to do it, know about it, understand it, and we need to do it. What I want to know is, will there be a way to do the census online, or would it have to be the paper?
Yes, that's an absolutely great question. Once again, that they are expecting this to be one of the most historic census ever in history. And I talked about why earlier. One reason that was being discussed, and the other is this is the very first time that individuals are actually able to apply online and to respond online. This is the very first time in United States history that individuals are able to respond, that they have another way to respond other than U.S. mail. So this census, they will be able to respond the traditional way through U.S. mail. They can actually call in. There will be a number provided for them to call in, or they can get online and respond. So no one has any excuse not to respond to the census at all, because you will have three options when in the past you've only had one.
Because as we know, our millennial group don't know how to write, but they will. Right. They'll go online in a heartbeat and fill out anything you need them to fill out. They will do it online. So I'm glad that that will be, because if it was only on paper, a lot of people wouldn't do it. A lot of young people, right, they're not going to do it. And it's not maybe what they're most likely just not. So it's good. I'm glad to hear that it will be also online. And I'm also glad there'll be phone calls, because we have people who can't read. And we have a lot of adults who can't read. And they're in the household, and they're in charge of the household, but they can't read. So by being able to call in would be great for them. It'd be really good for them. So since I'm glad all three areas are covered, because like before, it was only you get the ballot, you get the paperwork, send it off. And we miss a lot of people that way. So I'm glad that it will be all three ways. I can let people know that. Is there going to be any information like flooding the churches and whatever about the upcoming census?
Absolutely. I hope so. I hope that there are. I have really been, since that's one of the reasons why I took this position as head of recruiting. Once I found out there were some children in my family that came home without school books. And I am an advocate for education. Whole family is an advocate for education. But when we did the research and found out why, because we went to the state and thought that the misconception we did that the state was just not sending money to schools in urban areas, and then that's when we found out that was not the reason why, which is the reason why I applied for this job. And prayed that I would get it so I can make a change, because I'm a person that's, I talk to my staff about that weekly meetings. There's going to be a lot of problems and a lot of challenges, but don't be a person that talks about challenges and talks about problems, because anybody can do that. What are you going to do and be involved in a solution? So that is why I'm here. And I am here my dad is a pastor of a very large church in Oklahoma, was the COO of DHS in Oklahoma. He has never responded to the census. Never. Because he didn't. And I'm just like, why is this information not getting out in our communities? And there are and I live in Dallas, Texas, and people I'm sure have heard of the area Oak Cliff. Well, I lived in what they call New Oak Cliff, but I moved into North Dallas after living out there a year because there were no stores. Do you know that that's the reason why there's no stores in urban areas? They think, once again, urban areas, businesses don't want to put Walmarts and stores and shopping and grocery stores, because I would get upset. I'm like, I have to drive 15 minutes to a grocery store. They just don't want to put grocery stores in these areas, even though these are wonderful, nice houses and we can pay for stuff. Like, that's just what we think. Right. I'm sure you've heard that too. Yes. It has nothing to do with that. Census data is used for everything, even that stuff. Business owners and corporations and businesses use that data, and they put stores and those resources in areas where there's people. Right. If the census says that there's no people there, it wouldn't be a good business decision to put a store there.
Yeah, I can. So I can relate to that as far as the businesses. When we were stationed in Alaska, I went to school I went to McDonald College, graduated from McDonald College, and became a store manager. But what we found out about McDonald's, and you were talking about businesses and the census, the company owns a lot of stores, but the company will own the stores in areas that they know are heavily populated and that they'll make the money. If you go to a McDonald's and it's a franchise, it's because McDonald's didn't feel in that area that they can make the money that they want to make. So they will allow those stores to be franchises.
Wow.
So, and I know a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people, what? I'm like, yeah, because I graduated from McDonald University. Well, we call it Hamburger University, but anyway, yeah, you actually graduate. But we learned that that's how strategically they work. So, and we also learned that franchise stores won't hire company managers. They won't hire you. You forget it. Even though you're still the same McDonald's, there's certain things that the company does, the franchise doesn't have to do, so they won't hire you. But like I said, McDonald's will only if McDonald's owns their stores, because they know they're going to make the money that they want to make. But if you go to one and you find out it's franchise, those are the areas that you find McDonald's going, we're not going to make it. We're not going to make the amount we want to make, so that area can be franchised.
Wow.
That's why, yeah. So when you said the business, I know that McDonald's does that. They're good at it.
Right.
And you figure they're successful at it because they're still here.
Right.
But, yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
But that goes along with what you were saying about the areas that are food deserts.
Yep. It has nothing to do with, they don't want stores out in this area because they don't want to service us, and they don't want to give. It has nothing to do with that. It's because they don't know people live there.
There you go.
What business is going to put resources there and a store there and spend money and invest in an area where they look at the census data and it says that no one lives there?
That's true.
Right. But once again, once I started, once I began to get an understanding of this and started working here, it all makes sense, and that's why I made it my mission to get this information out into our area so that people understand. Because that word is true. Because in some areas we're perishing because of this, because we're losing funding, right. And we perish because of what? Lack of knowledge.
Yes.
So that's what I'm doing, is educating people and letting them know. So then, if you don't respond, then you can't complain about it. If you don't respond to the census, and money's being taken out of your schools and out of your communities. But I am doing my due diligence. I qualified for this job when they required a master's degree, and went and got that done for a reason, and qualified for this job so that I can make an impact in this region, and all over the region, just not in our areas. But everyone needs to understand this, and everyone needs to respond, so that children aren't affected. And at the end of the day, that's what I am concerned about, is children are affected by this. Their education, school lunch programs. Right. That comes from government funding and from the census. Kids that need food. Why would you not respond? Because when you don't, you're taking that funding away from innocent children that need education, that need food. So please do it. And please come work for us and help us. Because once again, if we don't have the people, if people don't apply and they're like, well, I don't want to go, I already got a full-time job, I don't want to do anything in the evening time and work. It's for a bigger purpose. Right. Once again, if we don't have the people, then we can't be successful either. We can't get this operation done.
Is it possible?
We need people to work.
Is it possible to have Census Sunday? And why? And this is what I mean by Census Sunday. Not that you're going to do the census on a Sunday, but you pick a certain Sunday and you flood the churches with information. Absolutely, I would love that. And that's when I'm doing these interviews, I'm talking to people because I know that people are listening, pastors, people, heads of organizations, whoever. And you talk about NAACP, whoever. If you want me to come, I will be there. If you want to interview me to get this information out, I'll get up on Saturday morning, even though I don't normally get up until noon, and I will do it because it's for our good. And we need to educate people, and people need to understand that this is important. What I do want you to do is we'll have our state convention this year in San Angelo. It's going to be the 4th and 5th of October. So I will be sending you an invite to come to our state convention to talk to us as a convention people. What I did learn about before we go somewhere for NAACP, I work a lot of issues. So I use the census data to find out who's there before I go there, because I need to know. It's something I always question. Well, San Angelo, the president called us and we had a conference because as a state education chair, we set the state chairs, we set the workshops at a convention. That's our job. Mm-hmm. So we're talking to the chair and I was asking her, as far as education, what workshops you want me to do? She said, what kind? I said, well, see, I swipe other people's topics and put it under education because I want to. Anyway, but I asked her, what do they need in San Angelo? Her first thing was she told me, she says, we don't have any African Americans in San Angelo that are successful, that kids can look up to. She said, we don't have any organizations other than the NAACP. So we're really just out there. I'm like, wow. I'm thinking, you're just out there? She goes, yeah. And my question was to her, how y'all do that? And she said, we're just out there. We're just there. So I know by me knowing the census is coming, I'm like, would they come to a census training to find out why y'all just out there? And she said, I don't know. I'm like, well, tell you what, ask around and let me know. She goes, why? I said, because the census is coming up. And if you got people out there just out there and nobody's supporting them, you don't have any African American stores, you have a lot of food deserts out there. Let's talk, and she talked to me again and she said that she needed some more information about the census because when she was talking about it, people gave her the, nope, I'm not filling that out. You got to be crazy. I didn't do it last time. I ain't doing it this time. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's a workshop that I need to host during the convention because she let me know, a little bit about San Angelo. And once again, I went to the census. Since it's been a while ago, but I went to the census to find out the breakdown of the people that live there. So I knew exactly what I really needed to do. But I used the census for that. And I want people to know I used the census for a whole bunch of stuff. I had an issue in one city, and I used the census to find out how many African Americans live there. I need to know that.
Right.
And I found out. So I found out what the problem was by simply finding that out. Let me know what the issue was and what I really had to do with. So people use the census for a lot of things. I want everybody to know. But yeah, I think Census Sunday would be great. We in WSP, we do Election Sunday. And what we do on that Sunday is we flood the churches with a lot of information about the voting. You know, not who to vote for, but why you should vote. So I think Census Sunday would work if we could flood the churches with information about the census, because by tradition, that's how a lot of us get information, not only in black churches and all the other churches, but every church, you know, you get information. So I think Census Sunday, a couple of Sundays would work. It's a different way of getting in touch with a group of people. And people are a little more trusting when they hear information coming through church.
That is true. That's absolutely true.
So I think that would be great. Well, is anything else you think we need to know before we go?
No, I can't think of anything else. We just need people. We need people. We need people to work, which is my job.
Right. It's
twofold: to get the information out about the importance of the census, and to get people to come help us to make sure that this operation is done. And it's a huge task. I mean, just to give you an idea of how many people we have to recruit. And I use this example. My employees always tell me, it's like, you just always know just fun facts about just crazy stuff. I'm like, well, I work for the census. But I also like to read as well, and I like business as well, reading things about business. But I read something a few months ago. I was just reading about the growth of Amazon. And everyone knows it's just a huge business that has grown, very, very quickly. Mm-hmm. And these business philosophers say that years ago, you wouldn't if someone was to say that a business could grow as fast as they did, they would say that it's not possible. But the funny thing is, and the fact of the matter is, we start hiring people 2 years before. So we started, this process and hiring people and getting ready for the census in 2018 for the 2020 census. We have to recruit right around the amount of employees. We have to recruit and onboard right around the amount of employees that Amazon currently has on staff.
Right.
It took them 14 years. We have to do it in 2 years.
Yeah.
So that just shows you how large of a task this is, but we will get it done. They got me, and I don't lay down. I am a doer and a fighter, and no matter what the challenge, we're gonna figure out how to get it done.
Okay, I thought of another. I'm the question expert. If you don't know. Okay, as far as a job with the census, do people have to do a background check?
They do have to do a background check because these are government jobs. Now, most of the jobs for the mass hiring, they don't have to do the background check like I have, which is a clearance, which is what most government employees have. It's a fingerprint process, which that they check serious issues or whatever to make sure that you wouldn't be disqualified for jobs. Everyone is encouraged to apply. Mm-hmm. They don't give me any information on what would disqualify you and what wouldn't. They just tell me to say everyone is encouraged to apply. So you do have to do a background check, but there are some things, of course, that would disqualify you naturally, right. But I don't know what those things are, and I don't know what would disqualify you and what wouldn't. But just apply. It's not as a stringent process as like I said, like I had to go through, because you don't have to have a clearance, but you do have to do that background check. Right. You do have to take the same oath that I took, right, to make sure to keep this private information private and make sure that it's only used for the information that we promise the U.S. citizens and the people that live here that it's supposed to be used for.
Okay. The reason why I asked is we have people that were on papers that were felons, and I always want to know, are they eligible or not, because they're here, they serve. They work,
Right.
you know. So
Right.
it's always. I think of everybody when I ask questions, so that no one will say, "Oh, you know what? She didn't even ask that. I don't even know." So someone
Right.
that was on papers. That's what I wanted to know about the background check information. And you hit on a point that personally touches me. I have no fingerprints, none. So I am one that they always got to go around the corner and figure out how to do what I do. Because when I work for the school district, everybody types in on they do the fingerprint machine. I have a code I have to put in in order to sign it because I'm the fingerprintless person.
Oh, wow.
No, I didn't burn them off. I didn't. But Joe is sitting there going, yes, you did. Actually, I know why I don't have fingerprints, but no one will ask me, so I'm not going to say anything. But I do know why I don't have any. But yeah, so I'm the oddball that didn't have to figure out what else to do with me. Background checks, I think I got like 4 or 5 of them. So that would be easy for me to just add another one to my list of background checks. But I want to thank you for coming on the show this morning to tell us more about the census. And the more we learn about it, the more we hear about it, the more we remember it, and the more we can get the word out.
Absolutely.
I encourage everybody who wants a part-time or full-time job to help with the census to apply. I know Phyllis will be applying for part-time because I'm the busybody person who likes to do things to make my community great. And I want to not do anything for children. Where if it's good for children, it's good for me to do. This is good for our children, so it's good for me to do and to be involved in. Because children are not our future. That's a lie somebody tells. Children are today because they're living already. So for those of you who say children are our future, you're talking about kids that have not been born. So remember that. So
that's good. Never heard that.
It is. It's true. So the children of our future are here already. So if we want to do something for them, we need to do the census and remember that is for them. Not so much for you. It's more for them because they're coming up to take the places that we now hold, to do what we now do. So if we don't make things better for them, they won't be prepared. And we will be the ones that left them unprepared. So I want to encourage everybody to learn about the census, do the census. When I give the training, be there, be on time. The place we're going to use is going to have enough room to accommodate everybody. So no one will have any excuses. And remember, I don't like excuses. I hate excuses. They get on my nerve. You know, the only excuse I do take is if you're dead, please don't show up. Just really don't show up. Just don't come. It's all right. I'll excuse you. But other than that, don't give me any excuses. And let's come together, get the census on. Mark, this is your first time on the show, but it won't be your last. You will be back again because I want us to keep everybody abreast of the importance of the census. I want to thank everyone for listening to KISS Community Connections at 103.1. And I want you to always remember, you cannot live a positive life with a negative mind. We'll talk to you next Sunday. Bye now.